Colonization, dispossession, settler colonialism, genocide. These are the terms that drill to the core of U.S. history, to the very source of the country's existence. The charge of genocide, once unacceptable by establishment academic and political classes when applied to the United States, has gained currency as evidence of it has mounted, but it is too often accompanied by an assumption of disappearance. So I realized it was crucial to make the reality and significance of indigenous peoples' survival clear throughout the book. Indigenous survival as peoples is due to centuries of resistance and storytelling passed through the generations, and I sought to demonstrate that this survival is dynamic, not passive. Surviving genocide, by whatever means, is resistance. Non-Indians must know this in order to more accurately understand the history of the United States.
Even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream.
Because that's how the commandant and his staff maintain control. Divisions within divisions, every one of us turned against our siblings. And this was Clem's cardinal sin. Not that he dared to raise a hand against his betters, but that he brought people together to do it.
What is up, love doves? Coming at you on a Woden's Day night. And I got vaporwave in my headphones tonight. You can't hear it, but I can hear it. I got vaporwave. I got vaporwave so loud in my headphones, I gotta turn it down, actually. Goddamn. Let me just turn down my vaporwave really quick, because I have it too high in my headphones. There we go. Alright, that's a little more manageable. And, don't worry, I'm gonna mix in some vaporwave into the mix too, so I'm not trying to withhold vaporwave from anybody. But it's a vaporwave kind of night. It's a vaporwave kind of time. It's Woden's Day night here in Mesoamerica, and there's much ado about everything right now. People are feeling feelings. People are feeling feelings. Feelings are being felt. And so I wanted to jump on the mic and share an affirmation that I have crafted for everybody. Crafted an affirmation, and then I'm going to tell a tale. But first, the affirmation that I have crafted. I am a sovereign, free citizen of planet Earth. I worship the ball of glowing light in the heavens, from which all life is ultimately derived. I am not owned by any single group of oligarchs rolling around in the mucky swamps of a faraway city-state on the Atlantic coast. I am a free and sovereign citizen of planet Earth. I pray to the Earth Mother, the giver of all life. I am not afraid of death. I do not shy away from pain. I understand that pain is merely one of nature's maestras, teachers, and I do not shy away from my goddess-given right to free education. I pay homage to the spinning toroidal discs of light that run up and down my spine. I do not consent to the grotesque machinations of nasty and brutish billionaire squares who choke off their electromagnetic flow by way of ridiculous adornments known colloquially as ties, knotted stupidly and awkwardly around their necks. I do not consent. I do not voluntarily choke off my own electromagnetic flow. I let it flow, baby. I let it flow. I am not a willing participant in settler colonial atrocities waged nakedly for all to see, for the purpose of acquiring access to rare earth minerals or combustible fossil fuels or cheap exploitable labor or valuable resources of various and sundry types. I am not a willing participant in these settler colonial adventures. I maintain that resources are meant to be shared because we all share this singular planet, this effervescent glowing ball of watery potentiality, replete with singing whales and bawling grumpy walruses and chittering chattering toucans and mauling cuddly indomitable bears. And I will always choose to love my neighbor, even when my neighbor goes a little nuts, because I understand that the choice is between love, which is life, and hate, which can only bring destruction. I won't turn the other cheek necessarily, far from it, but even in self-defense, I will defend myself grounded in the knowledge that my adversary contains the divine spark of light within. Because there is no existence without the divine spark. And the ugliest darkness must needs make its way eventually. And oh, what a harrowing ride that may turn out to be for those who have so long sullied themselves in the filth of rotten actions. Back, 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 up, 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 upwards, 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 and inexorably outwards towards the everlasting, radiant source of light. There is no shadow powerful enough to drive away the light, because without the light, there is absolutely nothing. So I know, deep within my own spinning toroidal chakral portals, that light always prevails in the end. And darkness is always and forever a temporary setback along the journey to eternal life. I pledge allegiance to the goddess of unfurling petals and the god of the mycelial mat, which binds spark to spark and tethers floating hope to floating hope and brings it all together in a celestial symphony of infinite and playful and unending, potential, indomitable, indescribably beautiful energy. So now I'm gonna tell a tale with the vaporwave in my ears. I'm gonna tell a tale. We're gonna go back in time a few short years ago, back to 2019, just before the dawn of 2020, right before the dawn of this fucking insane episode that occurred, which I refer to as the COVID project. Now, at the beginning, everybody was pulling their hair out, freaking out about this coronavirus that was coming from China. And I remember people were showing videos of people dropping dead in the street in China. And this was gonna spread all across the globe. And it was gonna cause a plague of absolute destruction. And everything was gonna be destroyed. Now, I don't want to downplay the horror of the COVID project. And, you know, what can you even say about it? Obviously, it was wretched. But I want to say this. In my hood, there was no concern whatsoever about the situation with the coronavirus. Even when people were showing videos of supposedly people in China dropping dead on the street, all that kind of stuff, there was no concern whatsoever. When my local gym forced you to wear masks to go in the gym, there was no concern whatsoever. When they closed down for a while, there was no concern whatsoever. There was never any concern whatsoever in my hood. And so what I did is I got a elliptical machine on OfferUp because my gym closed down. So I got an elliptical machine on OfferUp, and I made a little mini gym in my little tiny 1-bedroom apartment. And I would just exercise and listen to music and write poems on TikTok. And I know probably should be utilizing TikTok again as a content creator, but I'm only one man, and I just don't have time for all the apps. Or maybe I should start writing poems on TikTok again. But yeah, I would just go on my elliptical and write poems on TikTok and vibe out while the world was tearing their hair out about this plague that was going to destroy everything. And one of my neighbors, I'll never forget it, way at the beginning, like way before anything, this was like before it even, I think, if I remember correctly, it was like Italy was the first country that was like really affected by it. This was like way back when it was like just starting to be affected in Italy or whatever. And he came up to me. He's an African-American gentleman. And he told me before anybody else, and I'm nestled here in the independent media sphere, y'all, but this gentleman told me before anybody else, he's like, hey, brother, Bill Gates has been simulating this shit, man. It's called Event 201. He told me about Event 201 before anybody talked about Event 201. For those who don't know, Event 201 was this bizarre simulation thing that happened where they basically simulated a novel coronavirus spreading across the globe like a few months before a novel coronavirus spread across the globe. And my neighbor, he was like, yeah, man, Bill Gates has been simulating this shit. So, you know, life goes on. Life finds a way. Life goes on. And the universe works in very mysterious ways. And I just know that somehow, some way, it is all going to be okay. When I was a young tyke, I used to umpire for Little League Baseball. And I had to apply for a special permit to work because I was only like 15. And my parents, God rest their souls, they believed that technology was evil, and so they would not allow me to get a video game console. And I wanted to play Mario Kart on Nintendo 64. So I had to generate some frog skins so I could purchase a Nintendo 64 and play Mario Kart. So I was looking around for ways to generate frog skins, and there's this opportunity that you could be an umpire, even if you were only 15. If you filled out a special permit from the city, you could be an umpire for Little League Baseball. So I did that. And I was an umpire for Little League Baseball, 15-year-old tyke. And man, was that an eye-opening experience for me, because as a 15-year-old tyke, you know, and like many of us, you know, my childhood was rough around the edges in certain areas. I had, you know, was a troubled youth. I was a troubled youth, and had my own stuff going on and all that kind of stuff. I'm just trying to generate frog skins so I can get a Nintendo 64 to play Mario Kart. And I'm umpiring for Little League Baseball. So these are like real little. So I'm 15, and the kids playing baseball are like 12, like 11 or 12. Very, very little league. And the fathers, so I would be behind the home plate calling balls and strikes sometimes, and then also sometimes I would be like between first and second base calling like whether someone was out or safe at first, right? And sometimes there was close calls. Like sometimes it was very, very close. Sometimes the runner put their foot on the base like almost at the exact same time as the catcher caught the ball. And it was like very close, like whether he was safe or out. I remember this one particular instance where I called someone out at first, and it was pretty close. And the father maintained that his son was safe at first. But I, as the umpire, called out. I still to this day believe that he was out. It was close, but I think he was out. But the father maintained that his son was safe. And the father comes storming out of the bleachers. Gets up in my face. Again, I'm 15, he's a grown man. Gets up in my face and is like,
Wrong call! You are failing!
And I remember I was like, I've always been kind of a sensitive soul, and I was like, I'm doing the best I can. And you know what he said to me? He said,
Your best is not good enough, Blue. Your best sucks.
Energy. And sometimes the pitch was like very close. Like, is it in the strike zone or is it not in the strike zone? That's why I was hired as a 15-year-old to umpire, because someone has to make the call. On close calls, someone has to make the call. So I would make the calls. I would call out, or I would call strike. And fathers would erupt in anger. They would lurk when I was calling balls and strikes behind the home plate. They would lurk behind the backstop, and they would psychological warfare me as a 15-year-old tyke. They would psychological warfare me and be like, "You're not doing good enough, Blue. You're not doing good enough." And then if it was their son and I call a strike and they thought it was a ball, or I call a ball and they thought it was a strike, they'd be like, "Wrong call! Wrong call! Not good enough, Blue! Not good enough, Blue!" And I just endured this like psychological violence from these unhinged fathers as a very young tyke, just trying to make money to get a Nintendo 64. And this was the culture that I grew up in, that is as American as apple pie. It's as American as apple pie. So, to put it bluntly, I've never been incredibly impressed with the culture that I grew up in. And that's where I am today. So I will continue to speak my truth. I will continue to speak my mind. And I will do my very, very best to cultivate legitimately sacred spaces for ideas to flourish. Because without sacred space for ideas to flourish, there's like nothing at all. And in order for ideas to flourish, there has to be room for disagreements. And this is our task, and we're going about it the very best we can. But, when things get rough around the edges in my life, I'm like, hey, at least I'm not 15 years old getting screamed at by a father. They're red in the face and right in my face. Not good enough, Blue! Not good enough! Because I called a strike and they thought it was a ball, or I called an out and they thought it was a safe. This is insane. This is insane. But at the end of the day, I did end up generating enough frog skins to purchase a Nintendo 64, and I did play quite a bit of Mario Kart. I also enjoyed Mario Golf for Nintendo 64, and then my all-time favorite game for Nintendo 64 was Super Smash Brothers, and I was always Pikachu, because I liked that back kick that Pikachu could do, and then his little lightning zip-zap that he would do to get back on the board. So, with all that said, everybody, life goes on, and we can create around us. We can create around us. So I just encourage everyone to not give in to feelings of like dread and fear, and just focus on what is directly in front of you. Because sun will continue to rise, sun will continue to set, moon will continue to wax, moon will continue to wane, and you can still be a person of integrity. You can be good to the people around you, and you can still do the very best you can in your own environment. And that's really what it's all about. At the end of the day, everything is truly local. And if enough people locally can maintain, then really beautiful things begin to unfurl. So that's it, and that's that for tonight, everybody. Wishing you well, encouraging you to just tune into some vaporwave, light some incense, focus on your chakras, meditate, stay centered, calm, balanced, and the universe works in mysterious ways. Everything is going to be okay. All right, much love, everybody. Peace.